The Womanizer. You know, every establishment has those customers. You know what I'm talking about. It's those customers that every employee knows of. They always make their presence known. You know their name, you know where they live, you even know their whole schedule as they come in at the same time every single day. For some context, I used to work as a cashier at the grocery store called the Food Ferret. Now, I don't know if it's just me or it's actually true, but I'm sure it is true. But with almost every grocery store I go to, people are exceptional, or I should say at least somewhat normal. Just people going about their day, shopping, nothing more. I consider those type of stores the upper stores on the so-called hierarchy of the grocery store industry. The grocery store is the chain ones that everyone knows about. Then you have your ghetto stores. You know, these are places like your Walmarts, you know, things alike. And the Food Ferret. The Food Ferret is definitely in one of the ghetto grocery stores. It's in that category. Now you're probably wondering why the Food Ferret is under said category. That's because I've worked there for many months now, and I've noticed that the customers are just odd, to say the least. It's not even in a weird part of town, like it's in the main city area right in a big shopping square. Food Fair, it just attracts these characters, to say the least. Now, it's not just the customers. The entire building is just Every surface, no matter what it is, especially at the front registers, it's dirty in a way, no matter how much one cleans them. Whenever I go outside to bring in carts, I smell the stale grease from the local fast food joints up the street, blown down by the wind. Anyway, back to the situation at hand. There's this one customer in particular who kept coming back into the store. He would only come in during the weekends, and only right smack dab in the middle of the day, the busiest hour. It seemed very true that his favorite activity was spending Saturdays chilling at the local Food Ferret, and that is exactly what he did. His name was Ty Sprites, and he's one of the most outgoing and talkative customers we have. Well, to the women at least. You see, he's the kind of person who one would call a womanizer, except he never actually succeeds with the ladies, no matter how hard he tries. And believe me, he's tried a lot. He's been coming into the store enough now that we actually know quite a lot about him. Here's some background, and just so you know, we all know this as a result of him telling us firsthand. He lets us know his whole life story. Ty Sprites grew up locally in the area where he attended the local high school. He got average grades and even played on the JV basketball team. And this is quite apparent, his style, even to this day, reflects it. He lived in an average family household with a stay-at-home mom and two older sisters. His dad worked hard on an oil rig out in the ocean to provide for his family. Ty was 29 at the time and still didn't have a job. He just sat around in his mom's basement, playing video games, surfing Reddit, and overall just being a classic liability to his family, all whilst his father was still busting his ass off out in the oil rigs just so he can buy his Doritos and soda. Now let's talk about his appearance. He's somewhat tall, about 6 foot, and Caucasian. He's a chunky fella, weighing in about 230 pounds. Yet again, he personally told us these exact facts. He claims it's all muscle, but any fool can see those chips and pastries right through his stomach. He had small beady eyes and plump worm-looking lips. Both his eyebrows had been shaved off, and his eyelashes had been plucked. He had no facial hair except for the small goatee on his chin. His hair is always tied up in that, well, I wouldn't quite call it a man bun, but if you remember, more like that thing that middle school boys used to do back in like 2017 or some year like that. Oh yeah, and he never showers either. In terms of his clothes, is that he never changes those either, and I mean never. This is apparent as his presence in the store is always indicated by a foul odor. It's always the same thing. Knee-high white socks, Adidas slides, oversized black basketball shorts with the neon green stripes running down the sides, and he wore a t-shirt that said something cheesy on it from Nike, like "Go hard or go home" or "Winning is all I do." Typical shit like that. When he was asked about his career and life ambitions, he replied that he was actually a well-known Twitch streamer, and that he's in secret ties with GameStop, but can't really spill many details about it. I would take these words with a grain of salt, however. One day back in the summer, Ty came in and began causing a ruckus.
Hey, ladies, do you like cucumbers or pickles? I'm more of a pickle guy myself. I have a real good one on me, you know. Excuse me?
One of the female customers replied.
Yo, relax. Where are you going with this? Hey now, I'm just messing around. We all like to have a good time,
he exclaimed. His voice was kind of high-pitched, ironically quite pickly and quite childish at the same time. I'm warning you, mister. One more violation of my customers, and you're kicked out of the store, warned none other than Mike, the store's stocking manager. Mike then turned towards the customer that Ty was talking to and leaned in for a smooch. Ew, get the fuck away from me, she yelled. What? Not just one little smooch for Mikey, the big brave man who saved you from bad guy sprites? Ah, whatever, Mike says. He disappeared into his back office. Good thing corporate wasn't around, or Mike would have been fired for sure. Another memory I have from Ty Sprites happened only a week after the first. He strolled in the store as usual, and this time walked up to one of the checkout lanes. He stopped in front of one of the female workers at the time. Are you buying something, sir? The cashier asked him.
I am indeed. I'll be right back,
replied Sprites. Ty then proceeded to stroll into the health and beauty aisle. He emerged a minute later with a mysterious-looking box. He then handed the cashier said box. I then saw what it was. I'm not going to say exactly what it was in terms of keeping the story PG at most, but let's just say it involved the material latex, and they were very tiny. So, and it was in a box too, I will say that. He proceeded to unbox said items and take one out of the package. He didn't do what I thought he was going to do, luckily, but rather he put the slimy hunk of latex on his head. The top part of it perfectly fit that little bunny had on his head. What the fuck? The cashier exclaimed. I, along with some other dudes, were laughing uncontrollably at the entire situation. Ty then went on to say some words.
Ha ha! Seems like I'm suited up now,
he snarkishly said. Just then, the front-end manager came out of their office and had a word with Ty. Sir, if you're not actually going to buy something like a regular customer, then I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store. Little did the manager know, though, that Ty Sprites was no regular customer.
Fine then, have it your way.
Sprites then proceeded to slide the object off his head before slapping it onto the conveyor belt at the checkout counter. He walked off towards the chips aisle. From where I was, I could actually see Ty in the chips aisle. He seemed very friendly and in a good mood that day, as he was chatting up some conversation with some more ladies.
Hello, gals. Just casually shopping for some chips to eat when I go home and play video games. How do you like that? A video gamer.
The women ignored him for the most part. Ty continued talking to every single woman he came across, as he slowly but surely made his way back to the front end. Again, he was in a cheerful/good mood that day. He went up to my register and got in my checkout line, and out of pure politeness, I greeted him. Hello, sir, how's your day been? I kindly asked. I kid you not, the face this man gave me was the most despicable I had ever seen in my life. It was one of pure disgust and hatred. His smoldering eyes glared directly into my soul. It was the most disgusting, vile face I'd ever seen. I guess that confirms the fact that he's only friendly to those of the female gender. Well, you gonna buy anything? I asked him. He didn't even respond, rather, he just turned around and walked out of the aisle and out of the store. Now, this next Sprites incident would be the one that officially takes things too far and ends up actually getting him arrested. So, here's what went down. It was a warm Saturday in October. It was around noon, which are the peak hours for the store, and I was busy scanning people's groceries. That was when none other than Ty Sprites walked into the doors. He must have been high on Halloween candy or something, because he seemed more energetic than usual. He grabbed a bottle of Sprite off the shelves and began shaking it rapidly. I was nervous he was about to open it and the fizzy soda would be sprayed all throughout the store, but no. He simply put it back on the shelf.
See, ladies, the true man of charm is very unpredictable.
All the women ignored him. He didn't take no for an answer, though. He walked up to a woman who was browsing for cat food and asked her about her plans that night.
So, what are you doing tonight? Any special plans?
He asked. I have to see my grandfather at the retirement home. Now go away. The woman likely knew who Sprite was and what he's usually up to on these food fair Saturdays, as most people who shop there on the weekends. They came every weekend to do their weekly grocery shopping.
Come on. Let's hang out. Why hang out with that old coot? We can Netflix and chill, if you know what I mean.
Sprites enthusiastically suggested as he raised his eyebrows up and down.
Eh? Eh?
Just then, a mysterious man came around the corner. He was big and muscular with a handlebar mustache. He wore a white tank top and ripped jeans with motorcycle boots. Hey, get away from my wife! The man shouted. Everyone in the vicinity now had their attention on the situation, and Sprites himself. Even Mike, the stocking manager, was drawn from his office. I now knew things were getting serious. The woman's husband sprinted towards Sprites and tackled him to the ground. He picked him back up and gave Sprites a piece of his mind. You talk to my wife again and I'm gonna beat your little ass. Sprites then partook in the last straw. He proceeded to pull down his pants. Luckily, not his underwear. Yet, at least.
How y'all liking what you're seeing now?
He inquisitively asked. Now the rest was history. The police were called, and Sprites was arrested on the spot for attempted public nudity. Now Sprites will forever go down in the food ferret history as the Womanizer.